All righty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Excited for this conversation and to be here with David and Madison and Liz and to have this conversation because amazingly enough, I was out to breakfast on Saturday, 4th of July, and I was there with my son and his fiance was like, "Oh, my mom loves watching Married with Children." David and Madison, she just started talking about it. And so she was so happy about where it was and that we were having this conversation. So I'm excited to get everybody up and to begin. So let's go ahead and get them up and thank you for anybody that tunes in, but this will be replayed several times over. So we're good to go. Because Team USA, we got Coach over there in his gear, and so excited to have this and welcome you too. Welcome, Liz. All right, let's get right into it. Madison, tell us what it was like being on the show.
All right, well, Sid, before I let Madison take the floor, I've got to point this out. You just introduced the show as Married with Children, so we are stepping it back into the day with Al Bundy, and Madison and David were already giving them children. So I just want to bring that to the forefront. And
yeah, awesome. I'm glad she gave them the children to you all. And excuse me on that. Married at First Sight. I think I've called it 50 million things under the sun.
We get love at first sight. It's a lot of different combos these days. So
Awesome. Thank you for catching that, Liz. All right, Madison, take it away.
Yeah, no problem. Well, my journey on Married at First Sight was definitely an interesting one for sure. I was reached out to on Instagram from one of the casting producers. So I had only watched maybe an episode or two. I had heard of it, never really gone, super deep into it. So when I had first, gotten my text, I was like, no way, like this is crazy. One of my girlfriends was like an avid watcher and she's like, no, they have these experts. It's great. I'm like, well, dating's a dumpster fire anyways, so let's just give it a shot. And then, obviously met the experts and then, met my husband, Alan, at first sight. And was not the match.
Hold on. Before you go any further, what makes them pick someone out on Instagram and says, hey, would you like to get married?
My assumption, since Married at First Sight and like Love is Blind, all those shows, they're city focused, right? It's not like The Bachelor or Love Island where they're from all over the US. I'm assuming they have people that just like go into Instagram and type in like the explore page, like Chicago or, cool restaurants or like, I don't know, women vibe. I don't know, anything like that and see what pops up. And, just like, because I always tagged like Chicago on my posts or like my hashtags or things like that. So I don't know if it was just like the luck of the draw and they managed to just like find me. But that would be my guess. Like I had my Instagram public at that time. So
makes sense because my Instagram's Chi-Town Shark, so Chi-Town.
Yeah. I mean, that would kind of just be how I think that they would go about it. But other than that, I have literally no idea. Now that I've been in reality TV, I know that they do have a ton of like casting producers on Instagram that are actively posting for shows that they're casting for, and like they're reaching out to people too and then sharing like their, shows and stuff that they're a part of. So it's definitely a bigger community than I realized before being on the show. But yeah, how they end up picking whoever, because I've had a couple of friends who like interviewed for Love is Blind in Denver when they did that. And they're like, yeah, someone just reached out to me on Instagram. I'm like, out of all the thousands of people on Instagram, millions of people on Instagram.
Right.
So luck of the draw, I guess. And then to make it all the way through. I mean, I never thought it would actually happen. I just was kind of like, oh, well, might as well just apply. And if it works out, I was
now for all the people that may be listening and they're like, oh, I'm going to make sure that I'm ready on my Instagram. And I'm curious when someone goes to your Instagram, and I've seen your Instagram, but I've never looked at it like this. And my thought is, like when I coached college football, I made sure that the players looked the way they wanted to present themselves to the NFL, right? So if you want to be known as a drunk, all right, keep putting up pictures that way.
Right.
So what would you say when someone looks at yours? What do they see?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like social media is a very tricky place, right? You always see what people want you to see. But I feel like mine has always been exactly what my life is. It's a big focus on family. I do a lot of family trips. So there's some stuff with like my brother and my sister, my dad, grandparents. Love traveling. So I've got a ton of travel photos, some really fun kind of eye-catchy ones. And then I love doing things with my friends. So whether that's concerts, dinners out, karaoke nights, themed parties, love a good wig, you know. Things that I think actually showcase my personality. Like I don't take time to, you know, take the perfect photo, or, you know, they're not all in bikinis or, you know, things like that. It's things that I'm doing with my life, you know, so I think it showcases who I am and what I like to do.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I think a lot of people could benefit from knowing that they could actually be on a show or recruited if they looked like they should be on a show or recruited.
Right. I feel like that's what they're looking for, is your most authentic self. Of course, they want to, depending on the show you're looking for, yes, they might cast some of the more, you know, far end of the spectrum of super dramatic or, you know, crazy for drama and everything. But if they're looking for some of the love shows, like they want people who are like going to be their authentic self. They don't want someone who's just going to show up for the camera and put on a face, right? Like they want you to be able to be honest and vulnerable and real and show that raw emotion and be a human, because that's what we are. And I think that's what people connect with most, is when you are authentically human and make mistakes and, you know, laugh and cry and you know, live like a normal person, and you're not just, you know, an actor or a celebrity or, you know, putting on this facade for the camera.
Love it. All right, go back.
I love that too.
Go on, Liz, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to jump in. And first, I just want to thank Madison and David both for being here. And, you know, as I said before we started, I think it takes so much courage and vulnerability to go on a show like Married at First Sight, as opposed to With Children. That's the sequel. And like to show up and keep talking about it shows even more courage. So just acknowledging you guys. And one of the things, so I love, like, I haven't said this to a lot of people, but like one of my dream job would be to like be a matchmaker and like get to put people together and watch their journey unfold. Like I just love. And one of the things that I loved about you all was that you really seemed to be authentic the whole time. So I love that you're saying like that's what you felt like your social media portrayed, and that was part of why they, you know, had you casted. And you saw that the whole way through, I think, in the episodes that you all were in. I'm hearing a bit of an echo, so Sid, feel free to cut me off at any time. But I was going to ask you guys if you felt like there was ever a time during the show that like you had to put your authenticity to the side, or that was challenging for you to like just be yourself.
Yeah, I think for me, what was hard was I think I was dealing with a lot of, you know, internal struggle of I wasn't very happy with my match. You know, I was struggling a lot with my match, right? And I was struggling of how to communicate what I was feeling and thinking while being honest, but trying to be kind and not, you know, again, portrayed in an ugly way, because everything you do and say is being filmed. And I feel like that made it hard sometimes for me, I think, to feel like I was being really authentic, because I was over engineering or thinking of like, how can I say this in a way that's not, one, going to come off super horrible, but is also still, you know, my true feelings or a true statement. And I think that's where it became difficult. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that felt that way in certain times, including, you know, I think David was pretty much himself most of the time. But for me, especially as a woman, I think as women, you know, we're extra, you know, ridiculed and criticized by everything we do. And like, especially during the show and even after, like I was portrayed as like the mean, pretty girl who was, you know, didn't want the nice guy. And like, I was, you know, stereotyped and judged for how I looked and, you know, certain things that I said. And I feel like, especially as women, you know, we're put into this extra criticized category regardless. And so knowing that you're going to be filmed and at all times and however that's going to be edited is out of your control is definitely something that I feel like I thought a lot about and that weighed on me a lot too during the experience.
Yeah, and I think for me,
imagine.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
No, and I think just for me, it was just being able to process everything. What's going on. It's like, this is happening now. And then you're put into a different position. And it's like, okay, forget about that. Now you're here. So that was the most difficult part, is just being able to process what's actually going on and actually getting those feelings out. Like, all right, you asked me this question, but now we're here. And so that was the most difficult part. It's just processing it and being able to vocalize exactly what you're trying to say within the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And here's a question though I wanted to ask, and it's all right. So you're moving through. Everybody is probably tuned in at this point, but there are some people that are still watching that are like, don't say anymore because I want to know, don't want to know, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, when did you all, each of you separately, when did you know? Like, I know what they put on camera, right? Of the moment where Madison, you profess.
Like a little fifth grader. It's funny because we actually watched that scene. We watched that scene all over again, and it was really cringy to watch again. But at the same time, we talked about it, and I was like, you know what? How often nowadays does anybody actually ever say, hey, I like you? No, you get to swipe right on an app, or it's just assumed because you go on another date with them. And I was watching, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like a 12-year-old, like writing a note of like, hey, I like you, circle yes if you like me back. I feel like that moment at the couples retreat was the first time that like we both acknowledged it, obviously. But I think he was somebody, and I will continue to say this in any conversation that I have, like, we had a friendship. And like, that is where it started, because like we were both confiding in each other of just, hey, how are you doing? Are you like cameras all day? We're all still working, full-time jobs, long hours. His situation was much different than mine because I was at least, in a more amicable situation. So like the kindness was still there. So it was like, hey, are you doing okay? Are you, eating? Are you getting a hug every now and then? And I feel like I just saw, him as a person. And I know like with your guys' interview, like you can just feel his genuineness and his warmth and like the kindness that he exudes. And it was very clear the moment that I met him, I'm like, this is a good dude, a great dude. Like I would want to be friends with him regardless of this whole experience, right? And how things ended up with us. And I think just the more that I got to hang out with him, either when we were filming, or if we were even just working out, or like as groups and stuff, you just get to see someone's character and how they react and behave. And it's like, it just became very easy for me to just like him as a person. And I feel like, I don't think there's a defining moment of where I was like, oh, he's the one. Because even after the show and everything, like, yeah, we jumped into some dates on camera because we had to, because we still had time to film. But we did take things, at our pace, and like off camera once we were done filming, like we were still figuring things out. And I was still figuring things out of, is this just like a rebound situation because we were both matched with people that weren't, our person? Or are we just, kind of trauma bonding? I was kind of spiraling in my head of, is this real, or are we, forcing something? And then I got to a point after filming where I was like, no, I love this man. Like, I really, really love him. Like, I loved him as a person, and I loved him, I think anyways, but as like a lifetime partner, soulmate thing, like that definitely happened later. And I mean, it just continues and continues to grow for me. So that's where mine was.
Yeah. Two things, David, as you respond to that. One is, how does it feel? Because I've heard Liz say things, and as much as we've been interviewed, and I'm like, yeah, it's new every time. So how's that feel to hear her say that?
It makes me smile every time, you know. I get even before, you know, on the days I'd get nervous, like speaking with her. But at that same point, her seeing through me was a big thing. It was like it wasn't something that was just had to be said or she had to do. She chose to do that, which I was going to choose to ride with her because I knew she was a great person. And I tell her to this day, like, even if we are not engaged or dating, you would still be a friend of mine because of how respectful, genuine you are, and that loving heart. Those people you don't come around too often. And when you have them in your corner and someone that believes in you and just shows you all of their realness, that's all that matters to me. So that's when, after the couples retreat, you know, and everything came out, it was still, my biggest goal was to make sure that she was okay at the end of the day. It wasn't like, I'm trying to date her, I'm trying to marry her, she's going to be the one. Yeah, did I have those feelings that she could be the one? Without question. But I wasn't trying to live to rush into those things, you know. I didn't know if she truly did like me, even though she said it on the show or in a pressure cooker. You know, you say things at the moment that just could be like, I'm going to say it just to say it. You know, it was cute, it was genuine, and you got a friend in me. But I was always going to be there for her, no matter what. At the end of the day, you know, if we did try out after filming's done, go on a couple dates, and hey, we may not mesh just how we did on the show just because of the situation, I'd still be that kind man because she's that kind woman and she deserves it, and she's given it. So people that don't see that is, you know, it's your loss, but I have it and I could tell that it's real. So it makes me smile every time I hear her speak about me. I blush and when I talk about her too much, and then I want to get into a different conversation because I don't like to be all giddy.
Well, I do want to make sure that I watched the show because we've probably watched like 15 shows of, you know, guys punching each other or something. And then Liz is like, I'm like, Liz, you know, why don't you pick whatever it is? And she's like, Married with Children. And I'm like, or there it goes. Married at First Sight. I don't know. There's got to be children coming in here. Something's going on. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I mean, most of the time, a lot of the times I'm going to sleep. At some point on the couch, I'm falling asleep. And then, actually, before they were matching people, I was like, those two should be together. I mean, Liz can verify it. It was just, it was simple. Energetically, I thought, oh, they fit. Like, there's something to a fit, you know, that I think, at least I thought I saw it.
I mean, a lot of people, we get a ton of people that say that too. I mean, even my own parents, like my dad even said that too when he was born. And I think one thing that I say too is, like, obviously the experts aren't here for this next season, which I'm very curious to see how, like, that will be, at least these experts. But I feel like they should place a lot of emphasis too on, like, the things that people like to do. I feel like that's super underrated, and it seems like a trivial or like surface level thing. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, what do you like to do with your partner? Like, we love to golf. We love to do any type of sport. We love to watch sports. We love food. Like, we love being active. We love working out. Like, these are all things that we do together and bond as a couple together. No, it doesn't mean we have to do everything together, and we can each have our own separate interests and do those separately. But those are things that we do together that bring us closer together as a couple. And I feel like if you don't have anything in common with your partner to do, you know, you could lose things over time too. And no, it's not like we're going to be 70 years old. I mean, we probably will still be 70 years old playing pickleball and being competitive. but like, those are important
rolling
things.
Me around, baby.
But those are important things that I feel like weren't taken into consideration for both of us when we were matched, right? Because there was really nothing in common that I had from like a activity or hobby perspective with Alan, and vice versa with him and Michelle. Like, it was very, very opposite in that regard. And I think they tried to match us based off of things that they thought that we needed from a relationship, which, you know, can work. You know, I had dated, you know, not the nicest of dudes before. So, you know, they wanted a nicer, more kind man, which is, you know, a good thing, but I think missed the mark on a lot of other things. And then, you know, in his case, it was, I think she described him physically to a T, but, you know, some of those other things weren't matching. So I think that's where a lot of that mismatch was, and what a lot of people saw when we were, you know, in our interview too, of, oh, they do a lot of the same things and they have the same energy. And so.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was one of the things that, oh, am I talking over someone?
No.
Okay. It was a glitch again. You're mentioning so many great things, Madison. I wanted to highlight one. You talked about friendship, which I think is so important. And I know that's something that was true for Sid and I, was like starting that relationship on that foundation of friendship. And hobbies. We just did a little Instagram reel talking about how we spend so much time together, which, you know, we're always going to the gym together. We surf, we go to the beach. Like, if you can't enjoy spending time with someone, how are you going to have a life with that person?
Exactly.
So I feel like those are so important. And one of the things that hits me, like now that the show has ended, is the judgment that people had on you guys and probably still do. And like, we're only getting such a small snippet of a part of an experiment, really. And like, for those who don't know about the show Married at First Sight, it's insane. Like, you meet your person at the altar. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you ended up with someone else, it's like, okay, nobody can really speak on that. Like, who in the world has done that? A handful of people. But to have a judgment about that, it blows my mind. So I feel like, you know, we have this whole life of a book, right? And this is just a small chapter of that book. But sometimes people are so focused on wronging someone or putting someone else in a bad name that it's like you're missing the whole book. You're missing the happy ending. You're missing like the joy that comes from that story. And that's what I'm loving getting to see with you guys now.
No, and I really appreciate you bringing that up too, Liz. Is, I mean, it never ceases to amaze me the lack of humanity that people have, truthfully, especially when it comes to the internet. Some of the things that people say is just, it's baffling, of like, you've never made a mistake before. You've never lied. You never cheated on a test, maybe stole a pack of gum, told your parents you were going to be home or somewhere else. Like, okay, sure. And I think like the circumstances of the show, like you said, right? Like, we get matched and we get married at first sight, and people are equating it to, oh, you know, you ruined people's lives and you created all this pain and destruction. And it's just, it's interesting. And like, you can't fight with people like that because they aren't reasonable. They're not rational and they don't think the same way. But I feel like what we try to do is we really do try to just focus on the positive and the good, because there's so much good that we do receive. I mean, like you and Sid, you know, reaching out to us and, you know, saying you know, relate to our story and, you know, you know, consider what we do brave and stuff. And I think that's what we try to focus on, because there are so many more good people that do share and do focus on, you know, the positives in our love story and how crazy of a love story it is, given like we would have never met each other if we didn't go on the show. No, it didn't take the right roundabout way to get there, but I wouldn't change it because it allowed us to, you know, build our friendship. And honestly, it made us stronger because we didn't owe each other anything when everything was crashing and burning. Like, both of us could have been like, nah, like, I don't want anything to do with him. You know, he talks to his food. But we both decided, we're like, listen, we're adults here and we made a decision and we're going to stand by it. And that's, you know, if you guys have a problem with that, then that's on you. And, you know, I think it becomes more and more clear to us every day of the people that, you know, we're very lucky to have the friends and the family and the support systems that we do, because we have so much love in our life. And I truly feel bad for the people who have that judgment and that hate in their heart, because what a sad way to live your life, to have two strangers in love bother you so badly. Like that's something that I'm so grateful I don't have to deal with, because that's a lot to carry, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question, and the question is, let's go back to this text message. Do you talk to your food?
Oh, all the time.
Honestly, I've taken videos of him from like our Christmas dinners. We go to steak at Smith and Walensky's every Christmas, and he's like talking to his steak, and I'll like take a video of him because I just want to like post it to be like, y'all, this is real. He does this shit.
I'll do a little dance and something tastes
He's
good.
like, oh, it's so juicy. I'm like, oh, you having a moment over there with your steak, babe?
Definitely do every time. So
we're big food people. So
when the text message thing came to you, Madison, how did you like? It had to be a blindside.
So like obviously the first time that I had heard about it was the yoga time. Which, like, when I had first heard it, it threw me for a loop, because in my mind I was spiraling of like, was this for me? Because we had been spending a lot of time together, not just like one-on-one all the time, but like in the gym, you know, we had done a couple of like smaller group things too. And yeah, we had gotten drinks a couple of times one-on-one, but like I was kind of like, oh, fuck, you know, was this meant for me? Obviously never got it. And so then as things were kind of happening and spiraling, like I was answering the questions, you know, that were being asked me of like, no, I never received it. And no, it shouldn't have been made for, like, it shouldn't have been meant for me. Like in my mind, like I wasn't lying when I said that. Obviously it came to be out that it was meant for me, which, you know, we all saw how that went, crash and burn, ends up in a very fun, you know, thing. But I think like, it's funny to me because the way that people, again, knowing him now, that text message is so not as like sexual as I feel like it seems, just because of knowing him, like, oh, you look so good, I just want to eat you up. He talks that way with his food. He talks that way with like a lot of things. And it's not like, oh yes, I've already, you know, eaten you, which is what the innuendo was.
Right.
It was, you look basically like a steak, I want to eat you up, like that type of thing. So I think,
I thought that was an interesting perception of like how it was being viewed, because I thought like, is this just a cultural misinterpretation, or like, is this an age thing of like how the experts are looking at, like, to me and Sid, we had kind of talked, I mean, Sid was team David from the beginning interviews. And so we chatted throughout, and it was like, that's not what he's saying. Like this could be seen in a different, like playful type of way. And it was just like one of those moments where it's like, are they escalating this for the entertainment value, or like what's really going on?
Yeah. And I feel like something that we noticed too, very, very clearly, is like when everything happened, and they were like pushing for me and David really hard to do all these like dates. That's why, like with the golf and, you know, the dinner date, like we filmed a ton of scenes because we had a lot of time left, and obviously like we weren't going to really film with anybody else. So they were pushing so hard of like, oh, this, you know, you guys are a great couple. This will be like a really great storyline. And in my mind, I just was like thinking the worst. I'm like, there's no way that they're going to turn this into a good storyline. Like, there's not going to be able to have like the experts picked wrong, and, you know, they ended up in this successful love story. And I was right. Like the first promo was cheating scandal, not like indicating who it was. And I'm like, this is how you're already promoting the show before even watching it. And so I feel like we knew immediately of like, they're just pushing so hard for this, and then they're just going to use whatever they want. And I think that we weren't giving them maybe what they wanted. So it just kind of turned into what it did. But, you know, I don't regret anything, truthfully. Like, there are things obviously that I wish could have been done differently or said differently. Like there's scenes and moments where I lost my cool again, but it was, you know, because I was protecting him and feeling very passionate in those moments. And, you know, no, there, again, you guys only see this much of it too. So, you know, but I feel like we we handled ourselves the best way that we could, given, you know, the situation that we were in. And, you know, I'll always stand by that.
I mean, something we teach all the time is that you can't make anyone feel anything.
Right.
Feelings come from within. And if someone feels bad about your relationship, that's on them. That's their feeling. And it
can't help you feel better.
No, absolutely not. So, I mean, that part of it, yeah, I just don't get down with now, I am biased because, as we talked about our entry to our relationship, I don't have a problem with people thinking I was a villain.
Yeah.
Okay, well, get over it or not and live miserably.
Yeah.
That's just it. So yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And what's next? What do you all really want to come of this relationship? Like, I know, like, this is something we do with people. We take them and we put them into what's called living the dream. And so we take them through a meditation, all this stuff, and eventually each person writes down their dream. We tell them, take your spouse or significant other out and just write it out for you. So when Liz did it and I was doing the training, I said, Liz, I know we just started dating, but remove me from your dream. Like, just, if you want a partner, cool, but take me completely out. So she wrote her whole thing down, and I ran to my office and got mine, and I read mine before she did so that she could see if we should be together. Now, we both wanted to live on the beach. We both were surfing, all the different things. So then it was like, oh, this is going to be easy because we both want to go in the same direction.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my question. Like, what do you all, and maybe I would imagine you got, because of the show you've been on, you've talked about where you want to go with your life, but what truly do you want?
Yeah.
Each of you individually. Go ahead.
I feel like for me, I mean, travel has always been a huge passion of mine. So it's something that I've always wanted to at least go to one new country per year. And that's something that, you know, we have actually done together since we've been dating, which has been really cool. And
so where'd you go?
So we went to Barbados the first year, and then we went to the Dominican Republic this year.
Sweet.
We like our beach vibes for sure.
Caribbean, relaxing vibe.
I love music, and I love to sing. Actually, that's something that not a lot of people on Instagram know, but I love to sing. I'm doing my voice lessons actually right now, so I have a couple of goals to sing a couple of things over the next 6 months before the year ends. But also, I went through kind of two different extremes of wanting kids and not wanting kids, mostly because I don't have the greatest relationship with my mother. I think you guys saw a little bit of that on the show. But when I was younger, I was like, I want to have kids because I want to be a better mom than what I had, which isn't necessarily the best reason to become a parent. And then I went through some really bad relationships. I was like, nope, I'm not bringing a kid into this world with somebody who is terrible. And then I met David, and I was like, you know what? You're somebody who makes me want to build a family because I know you'd be a great dad and a great partner to me. And I hope that that's in our future. But at the same time, if it's not meant to be, I did freeze my eggs earlier this year. But if it's not meant to be, then we're also, I'm happy with the love that I have. And I feel like what we have is, I've always wanted like a companion, but I was okay being alone, I feel like, after the show or during the show, because I went through some bad relationships and was like, you know what, I don't need to just be with someone to be with somebody. But I feel like having that companion is something that I've always wanted. And, having it, David is part of living that dream for me because he's the best friend in a partner and soulmate that I could have ever imagined, like truthfully. Like he's the person I want to do everything with. I want to tell him about my day. I want to vent to him about, my shitty work schedule. I want to go on vacation with him. I want to scream sing on our karaoke machine to him every day. And he just listens to it and is my biggest fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then for me, like one of my biggest things is when I was younger, I painted a picture of what a wife should be and a family, and you never can paint that picture, but I've always wanted someone that laughs with you, loves you for who you are, and to be with you. That, like, right when I always say ride or die, that fun, that friendship. Yes, you're gonna have your ups and downs, but that was one of my biggest things that I've always wanted in my life, is to have someone that I can confide in, communicate with, and enjoy life with. And another thing is just having someone be a part of my family that has its same family ties. Because you could always have that woman that doesn't like your mom, your dad, your brother, your friends. Like, my friends adore her. They could go out together. I don't need to be there. My family, I don't have to sit by there like, oh, what is my family saying? You can handle them on your own. If we're out at a bar and I'm conversating with someone, I don't need you by my side. Someone to have their own, because I have my own, and I'll always respect you and love you. And if there's something that I disagree with, I'm going to tell you. But and then just loving life. It just, people tend to make life so difficult sometimes, and I always keep in my mind it could be a lot harder than what it is right now. So to move day by day and just continuing to grow as an individual and love and share that love with other people, those are my dreams. And like, I have that all in a package with her right now. It's where, I used to go out till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but now I want to come home to 11 o'clock to spend time with her, talk about our day, enjoy shows, going traveling, trying new foods. Those are things that I've always wanted, and now I have that, and I'm grateful for that, knowing what I have. And I think that's something that people tend to forget, what they have in a partner. We've always stated too, when we do have kids, we're not going to stop dating. It's not like, oh, you become a mom and dad, you have to do this and do that. We have a village behind us, friends, family, aunts, mom, dad, grandpa, that when we need a time for ourselves, we're going to do that. We've established that. We've talked about that. So those are everything that I want and I have right now. And I know I have it, and I'm not going to lose it. So
that's awesome. So I love putting Liz on the spot whenever we lead all these different things.
Oh gosh.
So I'm going to do that right now as we wrap it up. And so, Liz, I'm going to ask you to, from experience of our 8 years together and our 4 years, she had me engaged for 4 years. So anyway, let's get back to it. And so from the whole experience of us, what would you say to them that you'd want us to have heard?
So
did that make sense?
I would say, I think so. So I'm interpreting your question like something that I think is helpful in terms of a relationship that I wish someone said to me.
Yes.
Well, someone did say this to me, and it might have even been you, actually. But I think what was really helpful was coming together in the relationship and like being aware of who you talk to about your relationship. I learned that in a really positive way early on. So like Sid and I had our own journey, and there were challenges in the beginning for sure. And people had a lot of opinions and judgments, and that brought us closer together. So I wasn't really sharing negative things about the relationship or about Sid with anyone in my life. I wasn't sharing it with girlfriends, wasn't sharing it with family. And because of that, nobody could throw that back in my face. And I think that's something that's really important for relationships, is like, don't go and badmouth your partner to someone that is then going to use that as fuel against you in your relationship down the road.
Yeah, I love that, especially since it's not even that they do it on purpose,
right?
Because you tell your parents a bunch of negative things. When it comes up later, they're actually loving you and trying to get you to move on, right? And so just not sharing, and I will say that has been a huge thing in our relationship, keeping our stuff to us.
Yeah, I think that's super important.
Made it powerful. So
yeah, I think misery loves company is a very common phrase, right? And people don't love to celebrate successes all the time. The right people do, but people will jump on the bandwagon real quickly for the negative, and it can be detrimental if you let them infiltrate your partner bubble. So I totally agree with that.
All right, here's mine.
Yes.
People say that you are always going to have problems. Liz and I in 8 years have had one moment. You don't ever have to have a problem. And I think it's important to speak your relationship forward. Like the things that you say, oh, we're going to have problems. Well, then you get to have problems.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously you guys will meet whatever you need to head on.
Yeah.
Yet speak the relationship the way you want it to be, because it's coming. You know, John 1:1. And I've become this Bible thumper lately for whatever reason. And John 1:1 is in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So every word we ever say or every word we ever think that we communicate to God starts to come true. So may you both speak each other into your highest that you want for each other. I mean, I feel I see love. And so I'll always, if you haven't noticed already, if someone says something negative, I'm going to address it, because I want to leave you all in your greatness. And so thank you for being part of our lives. And now if there's anything you want to tell the world, go for it.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank both of you for having us on. It's been something that was unexpected. And the advice that you just gave, Liz, is something I've heard as well. And that's something that Madison has pulled out of me, that it's just us. It's nothing of your past. Everyone has luggage. I'm sure some luggage that can't even fit on a plane, but you know, you have to work through it. She's made me more vulnerable. And I'm not scared to say that as a man. And I feel in my younger age, I was like, yeah, I'm just tough, stone wall. But she has made me more vulnerable in a way that makes our relationship better at times, because I'm able to speak with her. You know, if there's something that, you know, we had an instance, I was like, I'm a grown man. If I tell you that I'm not okay, because that's one of the questions, are you okay? I'm grown. If I'm not okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And the way that I told her that, she understood that.
It was crazy.
You know,
I'm like, I feel like as women too, it's like, are you sure you're okay? You know, it's like we always get in our heads, like, because I feel like you're used to people just being, yeah, I'm fine. Or us sometimes we're like, I'm fine. And when it's really like, I'm not fine. And he told me, I'll let you know if I'm not okay. And I was like, oh, you're right. You will literally just be honest with me. And I do the same with him. It's not, I always tell him, I'm like, no trick questions, no trick emotions. We'll tell each other straight up. And that's the best way to do it. But I think the only thing I wanted to say was just lead with kindness and love people. I feel like us four on the phone, I feel like we probably live most of our lives that way. And especially to people you don't know. There's so much hate in the world, especially right now. And nobody knows what anybody else is going through. You know, no one else knows what demons people have and, you know, hardships that people are going through. So, you know, any chance you get to be kind to someone, just do it. And if you have something negative to say, you know, what's that old saying? Just don't say anything at all.
Right.
I guess the last thing I will go on, you only live once. Enjoy the moment that you're in. Don't paint a picture of what you exactly want, because you're going to go down roads that lead you to different places. And I went down a road that I didn't think I would ever have to. But here I am. And now that I have that road and that path, I'm just going to take it and enjoy it and cherish it, because these are moments that no one else can take away from us. No matter what we do, we're living it. So,
yeah. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but I did hear something the other day that said, you actually die once, but you get to live every day.
Love it.
Awesome. You guys have me looking for the love, like, where do I hit the love button?
All right. Well, thank you both. We'll see you back in the green room. I look forward to experiencing life on Instagram, or hopefully we'll meet in person someday and keep it moving forward. So we'll see you in a moment.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Thank you, everybody. All right. Peace.
I've been at peace for so long. It seems like I've been sitting all alone. you know when the crew is coming through, they're the ones that will make a new. Gotta go, gotta flow, gotta choose the truth. We the ones that will raise the roof. Let's roll up and throw down. Let's go and feel the sound. Good vibes, one try. Can you feel me now? Be you, be me, be free. Go and take it till we bounce the beat. Take it to the streets, make a move the feet. I can slow it down, look in my eyes now. Just like you two want it fast. Spread them wings and make it last. God was the one to erase the past. Time to bring it forward to see the forecast. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Lift your dreams and fill the glass. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Lift your dreams and fill the glass. That was God's broadcast. That was God's broadcast. Time to embrace the peace. Time to embrace the peace. Time to embrace the peace.